If you are in the market for a portable solar generator and have selected Ecoflow as your manufacturer of choice, the next question you may run into is, I know I like the River series, I know I want the Pro version of the River series, but I see that there's the Ecoflow River Pro and the Ecoflow River Pro 2. Which one is the right choice for me? I'm Wanderer001. I happen to have both, so let me help you make your decision. Starting off, if we're talking about battery capacities, for the original River Pro, you are looking at 720 watt hours. The version 2, or the River Pro 2, has 768 watt hours, giving this a slight edge in battery capacity over the original. If you want to start talking about outputs, the original River has 600 watts, and if using X-Boost, can peak at 1800 watts. Coming over to the River Pro 2, you have a total of 800 watts, but only 1600 watts peak using X-Boost. So while this will output more without X-Boost, you get a slight advantage with the original having a higher peak output using X-Boost. Now that we've talked about output, let's talk about how we can utilize that output. On the original River Pro here, if we turn it to the side here, we could see that we have 3 AC outlets with a dummy ground right there. And if we flip that back around and come over to the River Pro 2, we have 4 AC outlets on the front, meaning all of our charge outputs are on the front. We don't have to move things around like we do on the original. Next, our USB outlets. If we zoom in a little bit, we could see on the original River Pro, we have 1 USB-C and 3 USB-A, one of which is a fast charge port. If we look over here on the River Pro 2, we can see that we have 3 USB-A and 1 USB-C 100 watt output. The USB-C output is the same on both, but notice that the River 2 is missing that 1 USB-A port with fast charge output. However, the USB-C on the River 2 not only is an output, it is also a means by which you can input power into this device, giving it a third method by which you can charge it compared to the original River Pro. We touched on the fact that on the version 2, all of our ports except for our charging are located on the front, which is helpful. The 2 charging are in the back. On the original River, you have your USB up front, but then you have charging on the left and AC outlets on the right, and then nothing on the back. Empty, wasted space, as you can see. There is a lot of space on the back of the River 2 as well, but at least it's taken up by the handle and the charging ports. You could see that on the original River, the handle is on the top. On the version 2, they have moved it to the back here, as well as located our charging peripherals right there. Having the handle on the back of the River 2 does make for some interesting movement options in that it kind of tips the unit forward as you try to move it, unlike this one, which you could just pull straight up and not have to worry. You can put what you're charging on top of the River Pro 2, which is kind of nice. With this handle here, it kind of made things a little tricky. One thing that you may have not considered between original River Pro and the version 2 River Pro is the battery. In the original version, you are looking at a lithium-ion battery. What that means is you can have 800 charge cycles before you start seeing a degradation of the battery capacity. The River Pro 2 uses a LiFePO4 battery, and this will allow you to have up to 3,000 charge cycles, meaning you can discharge and charge this for 8.5 years before you'll start to see any degradation in battery capacity. One of the features that you might have noticed is the version 2 is much taller and bigger than the original version. The River Pro comes in at 16.8 pounds. The River Pro 2 comes in at 22.4 pounds. So this is going to be a beefier portable battery. As we zoom into the front here, we're going to talk about things like buttons. Notice the power button on both of these, bright yellow. There's a little white dot in there letting you know it's on. If I come back here, you can see that white dot is right up there. The buttons for activating our power outputs on the River 2 kind of blend in. It's right over here. I have to press that and now it has a nice white light. If I do the same over here, you can see that it's kind of gray. There's a distinction. I kind of wish they kept the gray with the new version, but I can understand why they didn't do it. When comparing the two buttons, the River 2, they feel a little less wiggly than they did on the original. That's not to say that on the original they were bad, but in comparison, I like the buttons on the River Pro 2 better. I just wish that they were gray so that they would stand out a little more. White light, you can see that in all sorts of lighting, whether that's inside or outside in direct sunlight. Now that we've zoomed in a little more, let's talk about one of the things that Ecoflow is great about, and that is their screens and the amount of information that you get on it. Notice the classic screen kind of has this blue tint to it, and then your percent wheel here is broken up into 10% increments, which I love, and then you have how much power is left, input, output, as well as if you're connected to Wi-Fi or anything like that. The River Pro 2 has very similar in that here is how long the battery will last for, percent in the middle. They changed the percent wheel, so now it does 20% increments, which I don't particularly care for. I like the 10% increments better. You do have input output wattage, as well as if you have any of your items turned on. So if I turn this on, you will get a little icon right there. And then there's a special feature right there up at the top letting you know that the battery is limited as to how far it can discharge. That's in the application. Mention that a little later. And then Wi-Fi. You might also notice that they've gone with a monochrome display instead of kind of the blue. So this is just white. I prefer the coloration on the original and the breakdown of the percent wheel, but this one actually is easier to see in daylight. Ecoflow, if you wanted to keep this color, just give me back my 10% wheel. I would appreciate that. I mentioned that both have access to the application, and here you can see them sitting right next to each other. The Ecoflow original, right here you could see, takes a moment to pop up, but you have some control. You could see I could turn things on and off from here if I wanted to. I see the battery percentage, and then I have my options. This is also how I can update the firmware. If I come over to the version 2 right here, you can see that the application does look vastly different. They did simplify this, but they also give you two different options for a home screen. This is the one that I prefer. Both allow you to update the firmware for these, allowing them to continuously get better as you have them. Just keep in mind that to connect to either of these, it does use Bluetooth, and your cell phone will have to have data in order for updates to happen if you needed to. But you can make changes to these and turn things on and off in the field as long as you have a Bluetooth connection to your smartphone. Coming back to discussing the units as a whole, what about fan noise? The original Ecoflow River Pro, I did not have a decibel meter with me when I was testing it. I will say when you ramp up the fast charging of this, you will hear the fan noise quite a bit. But that's not to say that if you don't have this pushed off to a side of your room, it will disturb you while watching TV or anything like that. The River Pro 2 here has a maximum that I've tested of 61 decibels, and that's when I was fast charging it to really crank up the heat inside. Speaking of charging, the original Ecoflow has a maximum input charge of 660 watts. The version 2 has 940 watts, allowing this to quick charge much faster than the original. And what do I mean by that? Well, the original from 10% to 80% took 1 hour. To fully charge that last 20%, it took 2 hours. The version 2 from 0 to 100% took only 70 minutes. So that is 1 hour and 10 minutes. And this has a larger battery. This was quicker, had more to fill, and uses a different battery chemistry. If you want to solar charge one of these, the original has a 200 watt input and the version 2 has a 220 watt input, meaning you'll be able to put in a little more solar power in this one than you could with the original. Some of the standout features that the original has versus the version 2 is the ability to expand the capacity. The version 1 here has on this side a little port that you can pop out and then connect another battery pack to this, expanding the overall battery usage of this. This one, you can't do that. This is always going to be a 760 watt hour external battery. The original River also has a flashlight. Admittedly, I never used that feature on the original River, so I could see why they got rid of it for the version 2. One of the improvements, as I mentioned before, that the River 2 has is this flat top. Yes, picking up the handle does lean everything forward, and it is a heavier device, but this flat top means that if I'm charging my microphone set, I could plug in right here. There are also places that you could pick up a third-party peripheral that you could put on the top of this and plug it into your USB-C port and give this wireless charging, which is a nice feature. I like the fact that the River Pro 2 got rid of the panels that the original River had for charging, because those to me were something that could break and cause problems in the future. This does not have any moving parts like that. Overall, both River Pros offer great battery performance, great battery life. It's just a matter of what you are looking for. Are you looking for something that's a little cheaper, has the ability to expand the battery? Or are you looking for something that has longer battery life with increased charge cycles, a little more stackable and placeable, has a better overall output without X-Boost, but cannot be expanded? Either battery solution would be a great choice, and I still have this one as my emergency backup, and this is the one that I use when I go out in the field every day. You can see both of them kind of have scuff marks on them. I've been using this one for over a year. That one I've had for 2.5, 3 years now. Either one would be a great portable power solution for you. Hopefully some part of this video has been helpful to you in making an informed decision for yourself. If you are interested in picking up either portable solar generator for yourself, I will have a link down in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making a comprehensive video like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure which is the right solar generator for you? On screen now, you will see my detailed, in-depth reviews for both solar generators to help you make an informed decision for yourself.